Where did you go?
So we started from Nima, and some fuel stations around the place, around the runabout. There's a station there, and then we came all the way to Circle. We checked some of the outlets there as well. Particularly for girl stations, they'll tell you that they've run out of it. Some of the people that managed to talk to us off record tell us that they started somewhere yesterday, Thursday. So since Thursday afternoon, some of them started reporting that they had run low on petrol specifically. Then from there we went to Adabraka, where we also sought to talk to the other OMCs. There were some others like Total that we spoke to. Again, some of them did not have. Then we moved all the way to La Paz. There's this place you use. That area. The area just escaped me. So around that area, you get the sense that, and this is not just big outlets. You also have small companies who are running some of these outlets who have also run short. So primarily, it was a problem with petrol and not that of diesel. So you find some of the trotros who had come through, some of the other vehicles that run on LPG and the likes, who were able to get. And even for that, you get the sense that we are buying because we have heard petrol is short.
And the fear is that may also run out.
And the companies also fear that if the stock that they have for diesel runs out, then definitely they're going to be expecting what they have with petrol now.
Around 3 o'clock, when it became apparent that this may be happening, I decided to drive and fill my tank. I thought I could do it after Ghana Connect, but I said just do it. And I had the same challenge. I drove to one station, a station that always has fuel. It says this car just fill the last drops we had. I went to three. It was a fourth one that I got one, but even that station had a long queue. Several motorcycles that had parked, several cars that I had to stay in the queue until I got mine. You've been speaking to people affected by this.
Yes, so there was this one gentleman who said he started all the way from Ajengano, and Ashalibutri, so he's been checking, trying, and some of them, some people are favorites, so I'm checking with this particular brand. So he's been moving all the way from Ashalibutri and came to get one at La Paz. So you can imagine the stress. And this is not a private owned vehicle. Even though it's privately owned, he's using it for an online ride-hailing service. So he needs it to do his business. Definitely stranded and also concerned. His vehicle could run out of fuel any moment from then. That was the concern that were shared across board.
Early this morning, I wanted to buy fuel Actually, I normally buy my fuel at Shell filling station. And I tried this Shell filling station at Ashalibutri third gate. I went there. They said there's none there. I went to the second gate at the Ajingano there too. They said there is none here. I came to Abekan market here, Guel filling station to get some too. The same story I'm hearing. There is no fuel.
But how difficult is this for you? You have to buy that to work, right?
Yes, please. And it's going to be a very big challenge to me and today's sales too, because I have to be calculating how I will get the quality fuel too. I don't want to buy any kind of fuel that will destroy the engine. So that's why I'm focusing on either Shell or Goil.
For the past 3 days now, I've been here trying to buy fuel. Normally what I do is early in the morning, I fill my tank before starting work. But for the past 3 days, I've been here coming in the morning, in the evening. I don't get some to buy. I don't know the reason why. But I heard that maybe these tankers drivers have problem concerning their payments and those things. So I think, and even today I heard that they've called off the strike, but I'm still hoping that they bring us fuel because I normally buy oil.
Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you, how disturbing is this for you?
Oh, it has really been unbearable because, if you don't get it here, then it means you have to drive through a whole lot of places before you can get a fuel. I only buy oil. That is it, yeah.
But how many outlets have you been to?
Like 6. Yes.
I see. And Papani, did you speak to some of the fuel station managers and did they get a sense of when they might get supplies?
So for when, as at the time I was talking to them, they did not know. But what they tell me is that they have reported the situation to their various head offices and they are hoping to hear from them before the day closes. In terms of the numbers that they are losing out on a day, some of them tell me that people buy as much as 10,000 Ghana cedis in a day. So for the busy outlets, they know that they are losing between, say, 9,000 and 10,000 cedis every day that they run out of, so from 2 days, some of them have lost about 20,000.
So this didn't start today for some.
No.
I see.
So at Circle, what I got, that place is a very busy area. So yesterday, or by evening, they knew that they had run out of products. They had reported to him, but they are yet to hear from the head office what exactly is going to be doing. Well, they know that the tanker drivers were on strike. They were hoping that would have ended, but at the time I was talking to them, it hadn't. So they were still. They didn't know where it was going to come from.
Well, we know now that the tanker drivers, they've called off their strike. Let's see if we can get some clarity for you when you can hope for the situation to normalize now that the tanker drivers have called off their strike. And I want to hear from you tonight. You may be currently in rush hour traffic or, trying to find some fuel. What has been your experience? Share with me on WhatsApp, 055-1111-997. We can now speak to Sunday Alabi with the Tanker Drivers Union and joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Alabi, I'm grateful for your time here on Top Story.
I'm grateful from you too.
Also joining me is Mohammed Kudus, and Communications Manager for the National Petroleum Authority. Kudus, I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you.
I mean, Mr. Alabi, so from what I read in the statement that was issued earlier, you have called off this strike.
Yes, you have suspended the strike.
Suspended, okay. So when you use the word suspended, I get a sense that it's based on expectations of what might happen later. What assurances, what was the basis for the suspension?
Yeah, the basis of the suspension is that we have an agreement with NPA, especially Dr. Hamid has given us his word, and we believe in him, and he has done it for us before. So we want to take him for his word. And then to the ordinary Ghanaian, we look as if things are going bad. So we consider our Ghanaians, our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, to suspend the strike so that we talk to the authorities so for all the rest of the issues to be solved. You could bear with me that the lift of the ban on the LPG stations have been lifted. And then the assurance being given us by the MPA today and the ministry today, we are good to go to suspend it to address the rest of the issues.
So I know the real reason that this became a big issue with the LPG Marketers Association and others was the ban that was then lifted. The marketers immediately called off their strike. In your case, was it the outstanding issues relates to the tracking and the seal? Is that what it is still?
Yes, the tracking.
What,
the seals, yes.
What is the problem with that?
The seals are recording unjustifiable situations which our drivers are not faulty and they've been punished wrongly. So we thought it's not the best for our drivers. Many of them has gone home. About 76 or 120 of them has gone home because of the steel, which we can really defend. So we think that we should look at the issues again, and the first meeting has been conveyed on Monday, 10 o'clock at MPA. So we'll start talking on them, address all the issues, and we've given ourselves up to September 30th so that all issues concerning the drivers, the renewal and condition of service, all will be addressed before 30th of September.
So this effectively gives the MPA 2 months to resolve the issues?
Yes, please.
And specifically, you want the seals changed and the tracking service also changed?
We will go into it. We are meeting the service providers on Monday. We will go through it. So by 30th September, they have to convince us, and we also have to prove to them this reasons why we are saying ABC. So by 30th of September, we will know whether we continue with it or we cannot continue with it.
I mean, as we speak tonight, many consumers are being turned away from fuel stations because they run out of mainly petrol. I suffered the same fate a couple of hours back when I tended to look for petrol for my vehicle. And the explanation is that these stations have run out of fuel because your members haven't delivered products. Since you called off the strike today, are the trucks moving yet? And when should we expect the drivers to be back in their tankers and moving to the fuel stations?
Okay, because we love to work for the country and for our people. After the meeting, we ask our members to go back on their truck. So as we speak, they are on their truck. Some of them are finished loading. Some too, by 6, they'll finish loading. So let's say by tomorrow, some of the stations will begin to get their fuel.
But this is a nationwide strike, and you know that the depots are centralized in Accra, so it will take a few days at least for those in Ashanti, the northern parts, to get supplies.
We have some of the depots in Kumasi, Takrade, and Bupe in the northern region. So they also start work today. So a few of them also receive their fuel from tomorrow.
So what you're saying is that immediately the trucks are going to be moving to the service stations?
Yes, please.
Okay. So based on what you know happens, you expect that at least tomorrow we should see this normalize?
Yes. Tomorrow till Monday, things will normalize.
Tomorrow till Monday. Okay. So that's a pretty long period, weekend, then for us to sort the issue out. Let me bring in the MPA's Mohammed Kudus, who's on the line with me. Ms. Alabi, please stay with me. Kudus, so clearly there's positive outcome from the meeting. You have 2 months to try and find a permanent solution. And the word they use is, they chose it carefully, they suspended it. I mean, there's a real risk that it may be reinstated, a strike, I mean, if the 2 months doesn't get the resolution they want. Are you confident you can fix the challenges they place before you in this meeting today in 2 months?
Thank you so much. Let me greet you, greet your cherished and wonderful listeners, greet my colleague on the other line. So the meeting was convened this morning, and my understanding, the briefing I had after the meeting, I was actually not part of the meeting, but the briefing I had was that they agreed to suspend the strike, reconvene on Monday. The technical people behind the providers of the service were not immediately available, so they will be part of the meeting on Monday for a further discussion, so that the issues that, so to speak, remain thorny, they would together then look at it. So hopefully on Monday, when the meeting is reconvened, they'll look at it, and if there is anything that ought to be addressed, it will be looked at.
But from what the leader of the tanker driver unions, Mr. Alabi, just told me on the line right now, the time frame has been set at this 2 months. Is that adequate?
Okay, so I will not be able to speak to it directly because, like I said, the technical people would have to be involved in the meeting. If I had got him clearly, he said that they need to be convinced that what is actually being told of them could actually be true. And they also have a point to explain. I believe that when all are brought to the table and the discussion is ensued, there might be certain impressions that are not appropriately informed and may be changed. So 2 months from now, I think that is a good time. Let's see what happens on Monday, and then together we'll look at it.
Let's talk about the main challenge tonight with the mainly petrol shortage that we've seen the pumps. Based on your information, you are the regulator, so you probably will have a national picture on this. What's your information as to how widespread this is?
In fact, thank you. Even my economic regulation manager was the one who drew my attention to it yesterday about the reports he was getting across of the shortage of the product at the pump. And the bigger picture was not just about the shortage of the product at the pump, but the delay that is causing for vessels that have been lined up to discharge their products. As you are aware, there are receptacles around the coast, mainly around the port, mainly Tema and Takrady, where these vessels come to discharge. And they normally work with a certain time schedule. So if a vessel was scheduled to come and offload, it comes and anchors. And for no fault of a force majeure or the work of issues that is beyond the making of human, but it is detected that a certain inactivity has caused the delay. First, there's a cost to it, okay, and then also the issues of the distribution that is expected to be in the system, like many of your listeners actually attested to. So I just want to plead. Evans, on this particular thing, that for many of the things that we can come to the table, particularly if it is issues of doubts, that we can come to the table and have a discussion, we should normally reflect so deeply before embarking on some of the strikes. I can appreciate the kind of feeling that he has poured out there about some of their members having to have lost their jobs, so one thing or the other. But the bigger picture that normally would confront us when these strikes are embarked upon, when we can come to the table, have a discussion, and resolve them as quick as possible. I think the alternative is much more for an open and regular discussion than some of these particular strikes.
So so we have a clear picture now. So this is not just about the tankers getting to the fuel stations. It's also about huge ships carrying products that are waiting now, docked, waiting to discharge. So there's a knock-on effect, I guess, throughout the chain that would now have to be resolved. The tankers have just assured us, if you listened into our conversation, that after the call of the strike tonight, the drivers have been asked to start the vehicles and start sending them to the stations. He gave us an indication that it will probably take up until Monday for everything to normalize. That should definitely please the MPA. I mean, you are the regulator. Would that time frame be representative of when you expect things to normalize, considering the backlog you have accumulated over the last few days?
You know, I think that's good news. Obviously, better late than never. And obviously, the harm has been done. And once they've rescinded their strike action and are going back to the supply and be able to distribute the product, I think that it can only be good news to all of us within the space.
Finally, Mr. Alabi, very quickly, this is definitely a national security issue. I mean, fuel is a big one, and tonight many people are going to struggle to get fuel. The MPA just there says, instead of resorting to a strike, let's negotiate, let's talk. I know you say you've suspended, but I'm hoping that there isn't any real threat that this may be reinstated if you don't get what you want in the next 2 months.
We pray we don't get there, because I want to emphasize on this. We gave 1 month, but at MPA there are several activities they need to take care of, so we should extend it to 2 months. That is why that's why they gave us 30th September. That's how it is. And they promised that they can work around that time and all issues will be resolved. We don't appreciate going on strike. We know it brings pressure on the economy of Ghana. You could see this COVID and Russia and Ukraine war having an impact on the economy already. We don't add hours to it. So we plead with the authorities that anytime we knock at their door, they should just quickly respond to the issues. Because these issues were there for a long time, from 2017 till now. It's not an issue that came just in the blue from yesterday. No, it's something that was there for years. That's why we embarked on the strike. It's not like it was last year or last 2 years. 5 years ago, So I also take his words. When we bring things on the table, we shouldn't just talk about them. We should find action plan towards them to resolve them early so that we will not get to this point we've gotten ourselves into.
So, but for those who are struggling tonight to get fuel, your assurance is that the trucks are moving now, and beginning tomorrow morning, they'll begin to see some relief.
Yes, they'll begin to see some relief.
Thank you very much, sir. That is Mr. Alabi there, and he is with the tanker union, that the drivers, the fuel tanker union, Sunday Alabi. Earlier, you had the MPA's communications manager Mohammed Kudus on this, and so that's the news for you tonight. So expect some challenges at the fuel stations tonight as you attempt to buy fuel, and this should normalize tomorrow morning. And no need to panic. If you can drive home and wait for this to ease up from tomorrow, please do so. As the tanker drivers now move to the stations across the country to replenish stock. You're still live here on Top Stories on Joy99.7 FM. Another big story we are following for you this evening is with the governing MPP, and the MPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Nchubuisiako. You know him as Chairman Wuntumi. Had some tough questions to answer after national leadership of the party invited him over his endorsement of, guess who, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. According to a statement released by the General Secretary, Justin Kodia Frimpong, the conduct of the chairman, Wuntumi, breaches the party's code of conduct and such future actions will attract sanctions. We'll get into the statement shortly and speak to national leadership of the party. But first, listen to what exactly Chairman Wuntumi said. He made this statement when Vice President Dr. Bawumia was in the region earlier this week to commission some road projects in the Ashanti region.
The NPP party is for all polling station executives, coordinators, and constituency executives. You know, I'm not too good at speaking the English language, like my regional minister. You know what I will always say is, whom am I? But if they want Dr. Bawumia for president in 2024, then it's the feathers of the hen that makes it big.
The point of the president is that you are vice president. The person said, a community pa, and the Cassandra Cassandra Papa,
I went to see the vice president and told him that I wish my dad becomes the next president. But the polling station executives, coordinators, and constituency executives didn't mention my father's name. They told me what they can do is to give me the position of regional chairman, so I support your ambition of becoming the next president of Ghana.
Well, the party isn't happy with these comments, and they have a statement out tonight, Kweku. So, specifically, why are the executives of the party unhappy with Chairman Wuntumi?
So, according to this statement signed by General Secretary Justin Kodia, in lines with Articles 2, 3, and 2, 4 of the party's constitution, the specific conduct by Chairman Wuntumi breached them. And he actually quotes, let me quote, it says, members, supporters, sympathizers of the party at all levels shall desist from using their public office or portfolio within or outside the party to promote the interest of any prospective presidential or parliamentary candidate in order to gain unfair political advantage. The statement says this conduct by Chairman Wuntumi is inappropriate and that it could attract sanctions. It actually lists the sanctions, which includes dismissal from the party, as well as other sanctions that the National Executive Committee of the party will decide on. And I should state that when Chairman Wuntumi was making these comments, the Vice President was there, He had just commissioned a school, an Islamic school in the Ashanti region, and he was there with other MPs. And said Chairman to me was just standing in front of me with a microphone with an enthusiastic crowd cheering him on as he made those comments.
Okay, but the party also, the General Secretary invited him to Accra.
So
for showdown talks.
Indeed, the statement says that Mr. Enchibosiakun has subsequently was extended an invitation to appear before the General Secretary and engage him on the need for officers of the party at all levels to desist from such conduct. The party constitution and this code of conduct specifies some punishment. It appears there's no punishment for Chairman to me yet, but he was called for an engagement.
Yes,
that set a punishment. So they said they've engaged him for now.
Okay, this we have to make the point that the party, the previous executives had made a similar comment, and they had laid down the rules and asked people, if you're an executive, you cannot endorse any of these prospective flag bearers of the party. This is the first time there's been action on the part of there's new executives of the party. And to be fair to Justin Kodia, who is the General Secretary, when he spoke to me in that exclusive conversation on PM Express, when I asked him this question, he was categorical that he, under his tenure, would not tolerate comments such as this that seem to paint the picture as if the executives are favoring one prospective candidate over the other.
I am an MPP boy, and I've stated it on several networks, and I'll use this opportunity to also state it here, that as General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, I will not take side in the presidential primaries.
Okay.
And I'll be an honest referee. I'll make sure that the rules, the processes that leads to us selecting our presidential candidate will be free, fair, and transparent. I take a cue from what happened in 2007, 2008, where at a point in time the party was so sharply divided. You had party officers supporting candidate A or the supporting candidate B. By the time we were done with the presidential primaries, there was so much acrimony and division among us that we couldn't unite for the 2008 elections. So I'm starting that gospel message to everyone that for me as General Secretary, I will not take side. So it's something I will push through steering committee, NEC, and even National Council, that party officers, particularly national officers, regional officers, constituency officers, should not come out to support particular candidates. Okay. And we should allow.
Will you crack the whip if anybody does?
Once the party makes rules, once the party makes directive, trust me on that.
Okay.
We will crack the whip when it becomes necessary, without fear or favor.
You seem very calm and not like somebody who will like to crack the whip.
Well, I'm calm but very firm.
Okay.
Well, and there you have it. He's walking the talk now, and for the first time, the party has a clear statement out inviting Chairman Wontumi for some showdown talks. I understand that those talks happened. Let's speak to the national organizer of the party, Henry Nanabuachu, who joins us on the telephone line right now. Nanabuachu, I'm grateful for your time here on Top Story.
Oh, Ivan, thank you very much.
Great to have you joining us. Also joining me for a brief conversation on this later is Mr. Ben F. Singh. But Nanabuachu, so, I mean, the letter was written. I wonder if Chairman Wontumi has honored the invitation.
Oh yes. Yeah, the General Secretary had an engagement with Chairman Wontumi yesterday, and I think some fruitful conclusions were arrived at. Let me also make this point that this statement signed by the General Secretary is not to be taken as targeting any individual, or it should not be personalized. No, the statement is cautioning all executives. Do not forget that we have almost about 8 internal elections to conduct. We have already exhausted about 6 of them. We have 2 main elections to conduct, that is a presidential and a parliamentary. And it is important that we hold the party together. These elections can make or make the party. So the General Secretary was only drawing some sort of strength from the National Council's directive on the 27th of July 2021. So he premised a statement on that directive and that code of conduct that the National Council sanctioned. So that is basically what happened. I am not too comfortable when people would want to personalize it, that maybe this statement is targeting a particular person also. Yes, Chairman to me is a hardworking, very forceful regional chairman. The general secretary let him, it was a very beautiful scene. And I think that the party is going to move on from here.
So this is laying down a marker, clearly, that nobody's above the law here. And I get a sense that this one was caution. Come, let's have a conversation, but it's caution. And next time, we're possibly going to see some real sanctions. Is that the sense I get on the marker? Am I accurate?
Oh, yes. It is very important that even when you seek to implement rules and regulations, you make sure, these are human institutions. We need to be flexible but firm. So, yes, calling Chairman to me was an honor and in a very respectful mood. Very law abiding. He also responded to the call, and the discussion, as I earlier indicated, was very fruitful. But it is important that as a political, if the second highest decision-making body, that is National Council, if the second highest decision-making body thoroughly comes up with rules and regulations regarding a particular matter, same must be upheld in its fullest. So that is the spirit behind this particular statement. And we are of firm belief that the rank and file of the party will not use their public office or for office they are holding to openly campaign for any prospective aspirant. Evans, let me also put this in the statement. It was also mentioned that nominations are not yet open. It will be unlawful for any prospective presidential aspirant to be engaging people in a manner that would come. I think the statement also made it quite clear that even mounting of billboards, banners, posters, and all of that are also banned. That's what the statement says. So I'm expecting that followers, supporters, and prospective parents themselves should abide by this as well. So the statement, as I said, is not a personalized one. It's not targeted at anybody. It's a general statement, making sure that we keep the cohesion we have. We've just come out of a national annual delegates conference, which saw the election of new executives. And I think that I believe in the party people. We are disciplined, and then we are going to abide by what the General Secretary has put out.
Henry Nanabuachi, I'm grateful that you joined me with that clarity on that decision that was taken. So this was a caution, and a proper sanction may follow right after this if it happens again. Let's bring in Ben Efsing, election watcher and poster. Mr. Efsing, what do you make of the action taken by the General Secretary on this, considering who was involved? This is Chairman Wontumi. Many see him as almost an untouchable, but the General Secretary didn't hesitate to write that letter and make it public.
Well, I think that I like your choice of words, Evans. Good evening to our listeners. Almost impossible, but it's touchable. He cannot, I repeat, be bigger than the party. And I think that it's a good start by the newly elected executives. It's a good start that is such a figure, important figure, chairman of the party's strongest base, has been called to order. You should set a signal to anybody else who will try and indulge in that one.
And Nanabuachi made a point that people shouldn't personalize this. And I see why he was saying that. I don't know if you did too, which is that, it's been many rumor that, of course, why is it that the party is now coming out when it is Dr. Baumia who had received the endorsement? people may look at that and say, well, is there a possible bias in the action that has been taken? It's a pretty tight rope that the executives will need to walk here.
Well, I think that the executive said don't endorse anybody. So if that be Dr. Bamia, Mr. Lencha Martin, Canada, Japan, Boache, Jakun, Apriku, I mean, all the names that have come up, and those people have not denied that they would contest, I'm sure the same ship will be cracked. So I think that is good. I mean, it's not, I don't think that is because, well, I mean, if somebody, the party had not cracked the ship, issued the letter and made it public, next time somebody else endorses another person, maybe a secretary or a junior ranking officer in the constituency, endorses somebody else, they will say, the first time it was the Ashanti Regional Chairman endorsing the Vice President, nobody spoke. So for the party and for the attempt to install discipline, I think that it was good. The two personalities, the personality involved and the person that he endorsed.
Mr. FC, I'm grateful for your time. And by the way, that's the happenings within the MPP tonight. Chairman Wontumi reprimanded, I guess, in this meeting, stressed and was engaged on the violation of the party's internal rules on endorsement of prospective aspirants. And well, as you just heard that the national organizer say, if it happens again, full sanctions may apply. Well, on Ghana Connect, there is a conversation you